Romantic partners of selfish individuals have a special challenge in which they have to be willing and able to A, speak up for themselves, set boundaries, which by default tends to be hard for these people to do because people who are selfish tend to partner up with people who are overly giving. And so these people have a hard time on their own to just even speak up, but you have to be willing to do that and the ability to set consequences. So that's a two-part process. The first one is when you just speak up and say what you like or you don't like. So you might say something like, when you called me this, I felt sad. Please don't do that. That is a boundary setting. But then the second part is if it continues, then you'll be able to speak up and say, if you continue doing this, this is going to be my consequence. For instance, if you call me this word again in front of our friends, I'm going to get up and I'm going to leave. That's the consequence. Okay. Now, you know how much energy and effort that takes to be able to do that, especially for a person who's not used to being like that. So it takes a lot out of you to be able to do that. So these are the implications for a long-term relationship. If you're in a long-term relationship with somebody who is selfish in that way, this is going to be, at least for some time, you're going to have to be implementing this continuously, because if you start and then you fall back on it, then it's going to give the other person the indication that you don't really care, that it's really not bothering you, that it's not going to affect them. And so this is really important, especially when you're transitioning from wanting to date to having like a long-term relationship, if it's marriage or a long-term partnership, whatever you decide. And then you add on top of that, if you want to have children or property together or anything like that, you have to realize that you're not going to have the same bandwidth that you had pre having all these other extra responsibilities to stand up for yourself and set consequences. So it's really important that you set that habit early on in the relationship and that it's kind of locked down tight. Because if not, you're going to have to start continuing doing this while all these other responsibilities happen. And what usually happens is that people lay off and then they get run over in the relationship. So the question is, do you want to do that? Do you want to spend all that effort and time in the relationship? Okay, if the person has really great redeeming qualities and you really love them and you have all this connection and you feel otherwise safe, then that's a decision for you to make. But if you consistently find yourself gravitating towards partners where you have to put that much work into the relationship, then it's probably a good idea to step back and examine, I wonder why I'm doing this. Why am I so used to being in relationships that take that much work? And they'll be very interesting and a healing and growth process for you.